Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you which heroes I'd focus on if I was first starting out as a free-to-play player, and then look at what heroes to get as a pay-to-play player, and finally talk about how to rally properly as a rally captain and a rally joiner. The first image here that I want to show you basically shows the power difference between different generations of heroes. The two main takeaways here is that 1. The power difference between Generation 1 and Generation 3 isn't that great. So if you plan on playing this game for over 6 months, I honestly would not pay to get the first 2 generations, and maybe not even pay for the third. That's if your state has achieved peace, but usually there's some friction between alliances starting out, so being weak in the beginning has its downsides. The second takeaway is that the previous generation, if maxed, can beat the new generation if they're 4 stars. This is good because this kind of introduces some balance in the battle mechanics of the game, and most people won't rush to max the new heroes right away. The second image I want to take a look at is this image here, which is a graphic representation of the first image, except this one shows the earliest point that heroes are equal or beat the max stats of the top row. For example, taking a look at the column that Geronimo is in, a 3.1 star Wu Ming from Generation 6 with a level 5 widget will beat a Geronimo that is 5 stars and with a level 10 widget. This chart shows all the infantry heroes, but it's the same for marksman and lancer as well. And I just want to give a huge shout out to the person who made this graphic, Y. Now the third image I want to show you is this chart here, which goes into more detail about the exclusive skills that come from the heroes' widgets and how to acquire the heroes. As you can see, to get Greg in Generation 3, you can get him through the Hall of Chiefs event, and his max stats are 290.2% in attack and defense. His widget gear gives 70% marksman health and lethality. And finally, his skill condition is a rally type skill. I like this chart because it can give you an idea on what heroes to acquire in different generations. If you're an offensive type player and you like to attack, you can get the heroes with the rally skills. On the flip side, if you're a defensive player, you can focus on the one that gives defender type skills. It does cost quite a bit to max out a hero, especially getting their level 10 widget as well, and it can cost about $200 just to get a level 10 widget. Now let's talk about the blue heroes. There are 4 of them, all of which are important because they help you acquire resources faster. As a free-to-play player, I highly recommend getting all of their skills to level 5 as fast as possible, and you only want to use them to gather. For example, if you want to gather coal, the game will automatically put Charlie as the first hero, followed by the next 2 strongest heroes. Once you reach the point where you don't need your second and third heroes to carry resources, you can just send Charlie by himself. Now each of the blue hero skills, once maxed, gives a 25% increase in city output of that resource and a 25% increase in gathering speed. Because gems are relatively easy to get in this game, I do recommend using the 8-hour gathering speed boost, which costs 250 gems. It saves you a lot of time. And once you start mining level 8 resource tiles, if you don't use that boost, it'll take 16 hours. But with the boost, it cuts the gathering time in half, so it only takes 8 hours. Now let's talk about the purple heroes. Every player will have the chance to max out purple heroes in the long run, so that's what you should do. But for rallies specifically, the main ones you want to focus on is Jesse and Patrick. Jesse is a great hero for joining rallies and gives a 25% attack damage to all troops, and Patrick's a hero you want to use for garrisoning or defense, and he gives a 25% of health to all troops. And I'll talk about these 2 heroes a little bit more later in the video. The third purple hero you want to focus on is Jasser, and he gives a 15% reduction in research speed. For example, some research like the Regimental Expansion level 6 will take 111 days. So if you only factor in Jasser's buff, it brings it down to roughly 94 days, saving you 27 whole days. Now let's get to the good part, the gold heroes. Since you get Molly for free in the beginning, you'll eventually max her out over time. Now the hero I would recommend getting to 4 stars as quickly as possible is Zinman, so you can get both his skills to level 5. And eventually in the long run, you can also max out Zinman. He gives a 15% increase in construction speed and a 15% reduction in resource cost. And I think this is an absolute must if you play this game for a long time. Now me personally, if I could go back in time, I would skip Natalia, which is one of the VIP heroes, and all of Generation 2, and focus only on Chief Gear and Chief Charms. If your state is completely at peace in the beginning, which is rare, then you can even skip Generation 3 and just save your money for Generation 4 and on. As for Geronimo, the other VIP hero, I think he's extremely worth getting. His skills in Widget is still very strong, and he's even viable in Generation 4. Now I think Generation 3 is where it starts getting really fun. If you're a defensive focused player, a maxed out Logan is really strong along with me and Greg. If you're an attacking style player like me, the best lineup in Generation 3 right now is Geronimo, Mia, and Greg. This lineup usually wins most of the time due to the extra 30% combined attack damage from Geronimo and Mia's widget, and the extra health from Greg's widget. As for Generation 4 and 5, which I haven't unlocked yet, I'll likely just be going for Reina in Generation 4 and then Hector in Generation 5. It seems like they'll keep releasing new heroes, so I think it's more important to upgrade your Chief Gear, Hero Gear, and Charms. Now let's talk about rallies and what you should do as a rally captain or rally joiner. If you're a rally captain, you're likely a pay-to-play player, and you have two jobs. One, make sure your rally has the highest chance of success by making sure the rally joiners are putting the right heroes and the right troop ratio. If they're not, you're going to kick them out. It's better to rally properly than to take a lot of damage. The second job is to cancel rallies if you see that you'll think you'll lose a rally. You'll likely cancel if you see the enemy is being reinforced by another strong player with better gear and stats. In this image here, for an example, I'm rallying a Frost Gorilla, and no one has joined my rally yet. And clicking on the yellow flag here, you'll see that only the 4 highest level first skills of the hero captain will be effective in battle. And then in this follow-up image, after everyone has joined my rally, we can see that the skill that counts is Molly. If you're rallying, make sure that your members have the skills of the hero maxed out at level 5. Next here is the image of a Gen 3 rally lineup, Geronimo, Mia, and Greg. And if you're a free-to-play player, Molly, Patrick, and Bahiti will likely be your lineup. Now if you're a rally joiner, here's what you should do. Put Jesse in first, and then the next 2 can be any hero. Now Jesse and Jassar give the same damage up boost, and Xiuyun gives an attack up. And I think damage up focuses more on lethality, and attack up focuses more on attack. I haven't tested Xiuyun yet, but I will in the future. But for now, focus on Jesse as a rally joiner. Now if you're a garrison captain or defending against the rally, you as the leader should tell your members to send Patrick or Sergey only. Patrick gives a 25% bonus health to all troops, and Sergey reduces damage by 20% for all troops. Now if you do this, then you'll have the highest chance of success. Last but not least, let's talk about troop ratio. In the end, troop ratio is the deciding factor between winning or losing a rally, if both rally captain stats and gear are roughly equal. Some of the best ratios I've had success with was 622 and 613. This just means 60% infantry, 20% lancers, and 20% marksmen. So I think the 514 ratio is also pretty interesting, and I'll be testing that out in the future. The reason for having more infantry is because they're your first line of defense. And if you look at Arena, for example, your 2 infantry heroes who are your front line usually gets taken down first. So in general, you want to have more infantry than your other 2 types of troops. So that wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.